In Confessions of a Winning Poker Player, Jack King said, "Few players recall big pots they have won, strange as it seems, but every player can remember with remarkable accuracy the outstanding tough beats of his career." It seems true to me, because walking in here, I can hardly remember how I built my bankroll. But I can't stop thinking about the way I lost it, to the nice guys on business. Need an education on how to grow your business? The nice guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
And I'm happy to talk about that on the show as well.
I don't care, whatever. If you want to, I don't really care.
You never want me to bring up personal subjects while we're on the show.
I didn't say that. We talk about all kinds of personal shit all the time.
Yeah, like the stuff that we talked about on Facebook that we weren't able to bleep out. I mean, I had to make sure that we censored that stuff.
Oh, so that's the tease again. If welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and nice.
You're recording or am I? Who's recording right now?
I'm recording. Are you? I'm always recording, except when I forget.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So like that's our teaser. If you didn't listen to yesterday's show, you can't hear what was censored out with some of the side effects that Doug has of the Whole30 program. But I mean, we talk about personal stuff all the time. In fact, I brought up my accident over the weekend. I had a crazy weekend, and because the accident can go off on a whole nother business tangent.
Yeah, we didn't even spend any time talk. We didn't even get into the accident. I mean, we just approached it. So can we spend some time? I want to understand what happened. I want to work through the whole dynamics of the car accident you got in.
Okay, my name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the mic, Mr. Doug Sandler. We are the nice guys on business, and I perform in a band. On the weekends, we do corporate events and weddings. We did a corporate event on Friday this past week, and it was in Virginia Beach, which is about a 4.5 hour drive from where I am. So I'm driving down to Virginia Beach, and we are in highway traffic. It's like 2 lanes of highway each way, right? And I'm behind. So we're kind of going fast and slow, like, cause it's busy, right? So anyway, we're doing maybe 30, 40 miles an hour on the highway. So it's like, it's a bit of traffic, right? And I look up and I see there is a tow truck, a flatbed tow truck in front of me. And I see his brake lights come on. So I put my brake lights on. And before I could realize
I hope you put your brakes on, not just your brake lights.
Right. I hit a switch and put the lights on. So somebody thought that I was braking. No, right. So I start braking, but I realized that he didn't. Now, by the way, it's a flatbed tow truck, so I couldn't see past him to see what the traffic in front of him was doing, right? Okay, apparently he put his brakes on, and he wasn't just braking. He apparently slammed his brakes on because He meant it. Right. I start braking, and I realize I'm still accelerating on him quickly, right? So I put the brakes on harder. Now, again, if I had seen past him and seen that the other traffic was going even slower, I might have done it faster. But bottom line is, we went from 30 or 40 miles an hour or so to a dead stop, right?
So are you in your band van at this point?
That's it, exactly. I'm in my band van. And so I put on the brakes, and I see that I'm still accelerating, and I put the brakes on harder.
Okay, hold on. I got that. So I want to help build this up just a second or two, just because I got to understand. Is your band van, would you consider in your mechanical professional side, would you consider your band van in good shape, in fair shape, or in poor shape?
Yeah, fair shape. It's a cargo van, and it's been beat up, because it has gear in and out of it, but it's not in terrible shape. I would say fair shape.
And Mr. Bonner, is it true?
Oh, I see. We're in court now. We're going like I'm defending myself now. Go ahead, Doug.
Mr. Bonner, isn't it true that the last time you had service on this said van was when?
I don't know. I changed the oil regularly. I don't think this has anything to do with the brakes. Are you being my defense attorney, or are you being the prosecutor? I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this.
Well, what I'm trying to determine, Mr. Bonner, is if the brakes were actually fully functional at the time of said stop.
Yeah.
And you think without any problem at all, if you were in a passenger vehicle instead of your band van, would you have been able to maybe come to a more complete stop?
Oh, well, okay. If that's the question, 100% absolutely. Because of course with the band van, and I don't think it has to do with maintenance. I mean, the brakes are fine on the van, but the thing is, it's all the weight. Right. Okay. So not only is it a bigger vehicle, but it's got all my band gear in it. And so I absolutely would have been able to stop quicker if I didn't have all the gear in there.
All right, so a couple follow-up questions to that. Did you have somebody in the van with you?
Nope, just me.
Okay, so it's you in the van. And is it true that you were on your phone at the time?
No texting and driving. I was absolutely positively not on my phone.
Are you sure, Strickland, you weren't on your...
You can check my phone and my texting history. I was absolutely not on the phone. Okay. And it is funny because, there have been plenty of times where I've been distracted by something for a second. If you look down at a text, you look down at an email, and like you look up and you're like, oh my God, you know what? And I might.
I know.
But in this particular case, I can't even blame it on that. Really. And I'm a really usually relatively cautious driver.
So you had this tow truck that's in front of you, the tow truck that has like all the mechanics and the dingle dangles and all that stuff hanging off the back of the truck. So I'm assuming what happened was you didn't even come close to his bumper. You probably hit all the mechanics that are on the back of his truck, right?
And that was the problem. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put a picture on the Facebook page of the front end of the van. I'm actually, hey, total transparency, right? This is what we're all about. You guys can see the actual damage that was done. So I think at the point of impact, I was doing maybe 10, 15 miles an hour.
But that's a lot. That's a lot, though.
That's the problem. Yeah. Right? So like if we had hit bumper to bumper, okay, by the way, the impact, I wasn't sore. There was no injuries, right? Mm-hmm, and like sometimes they say, oh, the next day you feel it, right? Even the next day I didn't feel it. So in other words, I didn't hit him that hard, right? Because I would have at least felt like a little pain in my chest or the seatbelt pull or something, right? Nothing at all. So I mean, really, it had to have been only 10, 15 miles an hour.
Was the tow truck was it a flatbed or was it the kind that's got the like the cross style hang up on the back of it?
Well, it was a flatbed, but it had like a tow bar part sticking out of the back. And this was the problem. The tow bar was sticking out the back. And when I hit him, the tow bar went right to the grill of the van. Now, this is a cargo van. So the grill is just this fucking plastic grill, right? Yeah. The tow bar basically hit the radiator and like I've got coolant spilling all over the place, right?
If you were in your passenger car though, you would have probably gone like your part of your car would have gone under all of that crap, wouldn't it have?
I gotta believe that is absolutely the case. The height of the tow bar, I probably would have hit, like my bumper would have hit his bumper. Yeah. And we might have had a scratched bumper and we would have all walked away. But the problem was this tow bar sticking out hit right into the radiator. And I was in the left lane, right? And so I had to start the van up again to get it across off onto the shoulder. Yeah. And so when I got it started again, I had no power steering, no power brakes, and all the coolant is all over the highway, right?
A mess.
But I look at the damage, right? Like the quarter panels are bent in a little bit on one side. But if it wasn't for the fact that goddamn tow bar was sticking out, it would have been, if it was bumper to bumper contact, we would have stopped. We would have looked at it and we both probably would have been like, oh, fuck it. Let's keep on moving on.
So so nothing happened to his vehicle then, right?
Nothing. Like you couldn't even see that there was impact because it hit the goddamn tow bar.
So did he get in the car and just drive off?
No. We had the cops came out and all this other, we did all the regular crap, but it was just so annoying. And by the way, all of these things that I'm saying, I'm not saying it to try to get out of my responsibility. This was totally my fault. I screwed it up, but it was just so annoying. But now where we go for the business end of this, what's interesting, right? It was a 4.5 hour drive down there. So my plan was to get there really early, set up early, and then chill. So I had lots of time, right? But basically, my first thought is,
you ate up all that time with this accident.
Well, that ended up happening, but I need to get this stuff there. Right?
Yeah,
like I have a band full of equipment and I have an event to play.
You have 5 people meeting you down there and you're the guy driving all the shit down there. So now you got to get it down there. So what happened?
So now here's the two things. First of all, what I want to point out is, there are businesses out there that their attitude is do whatever it takes. And that's me. And Doug, I know you're the same way. Have you ever missed a gig?
No.
Have you ever started late for a gig?
Well, only once, and it was just because, and I would say no, but that wouldn't be honest. The one time there was a car that was driving northbound on the southbound lane and hit head onto another car, like 10 cars in front of me, and I was caught in between the 2 exits, and there was no getting out of it. I had someone who showed up at the job, set up equipment, and started the job. So officially, the job didn't start late from a DJ perspective. I was there an hour after the job got started. I didn't even miss any part of the party, but still the bride and groom were pissed. And I get it. I know they didn't believe me, but that was the only time in probably 2,500 or so jobs that I've ever been late.
Right. But the bottom line was equipment was there. Music was there. The event started on time. Right?
Okay, so tell me your story.
So you and I mean, that's our attitude, and that's the attitude that businesses have to have, that come hell or high water, we're going to provide this service for you. And we got to do what we got to do. So again, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I got to do what I got to do. And I did get there. Okay. Total transparency. We started maybe 15 minutes late, but it was a real casual corporate gig where we were in a tent and it was just a bunch of people hanging out. There was no schedule. There was no timeline. It wasn't like a ballroom where there were opening doors or anything. And you know what? I could have gotten there and gotten started right on time if I had to. But like after I talked to the owner and told him what was going on, his whole attitude was like, dude, it started 7:30. What? It's all good. Just get.
So he was okay. Was he okay
totally
with the
cool
whole
with
thing?
it. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And so really, if it had been like doors at 7:00,
you would have been ready.
Absolutely could have rushed and could have made it happen. Okay. So that's the one thing. As a business owner, you got to have that attitude, and people realize that, they feel it, they see it, and they appreciate it. Now, let's look at the bad side, because you know there's a bad side, right?
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. What happened? Budget
rent-a-truck.
Oh, geez.
First thing that I'm doing, of course, is I get the other driver's information. We got to call the cops and all that, right? So while I'm waiting on all that, I'm doing research and I'm like, where can I get another cargo van? I'm in Williamsburg, Virginia, right? And I'm like, I need a cargo van in an hour. So I'm making calls. I'm finding places. The first place I call is Budget, and they don't answer, and there's a machine to leave a recording. Okay, screw it. I keep moving on, right? I need something now. So I call a couple other places. Nobody's got anything available, nothing available to rent like immediately, right? So I call a different Budget place and they transfer me over to the national, thing, like an automatic transfer. Okay, cool. I'm good with that. So I'm talking to the national people and they're like, hey, yes, we have no cargo vans, but we have a couple of 12-foot trucks. Great. I'll take whatever I can get.
What's it? I'm ignorant here. What's the difference between a cargo van and a 12-foot truck?
So cargo van is basically like a regular van that you see on the road all the time that a plumber may have, right?
Oh, like an Econoline or something like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then a 12-foot truck, this was a box truck.
They have
the big like
ones.
A moving truck, right?
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but
expensive.
Right. But at this point, I'm like, I don't care what it costs. I don't care. I just need it, right? So
couldn't your 5 people or however many people were coming together, if everybody just came together and just picked up some equipment, wouldn't that have worked or no?
Well, here's the thing. I had one guy behind me who had a pickup truck, right? And so we could have gotten some of the stuff in there, but it's big gear. So it's not like you can just take the pieces and throw it into a car like your DJ gear.
Got it. Okay.
And 3 of the people in the band were already in Virginia Beach because they had friends down there. So, and the other thing is, we have backup vehicles on call all the time for just such an occasion when something like this happens. But the problem is I had already driven 3 hours.
Yeah. It's too far away.
Yeah. I could have gotten one, but it would have taken 3 hours just to get there.
Is the owner of the band, he's probably pissed at this point?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay. Anyway, so you call.
So I call Budget and the woman on the national line is like, yeah, we got a couple of 12-foot trucks. Now, right at that time, the cop needs me to do some stuff. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. Give me the 800 number. I'm going to call you back direct. I'm going to call you in 10 minutes. I call back 10 minutes later and it's a call center, right? So I get somebody different and they're like, we have nothing available. I'm like, oops. I just spoke to somebody. Yeah. She didn't tell me she had one truck available. She said there were a bunch. And I specifically said, can you kind of put one on hold? Here's my name. The guy's like, nope, I don't see a record of that. There's nothing. We have nothing. No. I'm like, I don't care what size it is. We have nothing available in the Williamsburg area until tomorrow. Like, oops. Fuck, right? So I'm making a couple more calls and there's nothing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call Budget back. Because it's a national line and maybe they don't know what the hell they're doing, right? I call Budget back and sure enough, it's a different person. And he says, okay, we got a couple of them in Newport News. Now that's it was about 40 minutes away, right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is with all the gear there, like I could drive 40 minutes, pick it up, come back, get the gear, trade it. I didn't really have
You're out of time.
I was out of time. I couldn't do that, right? So I'm asking the guy and he says, well, yeah, wait a minute. There is one Budget place. And here's the address. And I'm like, okay, it was the very first place I called that didn't answer. I'm like, oh, cool. I love it. Great. And he's like, it looks like they've got trucks, but, no, we can't do a reservation. I'm like, why not? Well, they close at 4:30. I'm like, it's 4:00.
Mm.
And he says, oh, well, but we're the National and we have to set it up and call it into them. And it's too tight. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I want
and
to
they
give
won't
you
even
money.
they won't even pick up the phone.
Right. I'm like, I want to give you money right now for some truck that's going to sit otherwise. Right. And
they don't care. They're a national company. They don't care. And this guy that's not making commission, he doesn't give a shit if he works harder for you or not. He's not wowing his customers. I hate idiots like that.
That was it exactly. I mean, you would think at least he would say, hey, you know what? Technically, it's too close to closing time, so we don't want to set something up. But you know what? Let me make some calls, see what I can do. No, he doesn't do any of that shit, right?
So, hey, Mr. Bonner, we're sorry you're sitting on the side of a highway. We can empathize with the situation that you're dealing with, and we want to help you get there. Let me do the best I can to help you. None of that at all came out of the guy's mouth. It's you know what? It's 4:00. They close at 4:30. Sorry, we can't help you.
Right.
no, none of it. We have trucks available, dangling carrot, but we're not going to give you them.
Exactly. So
Okay.
I confirm with the guy. I'm like, okay, they do have trucks. And he said, yes. And I said, and this is the address, right? And it's like 10 minutes from where I am, right? And he says, yes. I said, okay, so if I drive down there, oh, and by the way, I got another guy with me and I have him call the number directly again, right?
Yeah.
They don't answer again. Whatever. Right?
So wait, so how did you get there though? Do you take the guy in the pickup that was behind you, or could that truck be moved?
Okay, so the guy in the pickup is one of the guys in my band.
Right.
The tow truck guy's gone. The van is at a Chevy dealership now, and I'm at the Chevy dealership making these phone calls.
Oh, you drove off the highway to a Chevy dealership.
I got towed to a Chevy. So the van got towed to a Chevy dealership as I'm still making calls.
Was it the same guy that you hit tow you?
You know, it was really funny too, because I hit the guy and the cop is there and he's like, do you want me to call you a tow truck? And I said, to the cop,
there's one right there. I hit one.
I got one right here. And he's like, it might not be really good form to like have the guy that you hit. I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever.
Why not? It would be the best. How about we're people? We made a mistake. The guy is okay. Was the guy okay?
Everybody was totally fine.
And would he have been cool with towing you wherever you wanted to go?
I thought he would have been, but when the cop said that, I'm thinking to myself,
maybe he said something.
He's done this a lot more times than I have. Maybe it would be weird. I'm gonna err on the side of caution, but I would have been totally fine with him putting the van on his flatbed and taking me over to this Chevy.
So hold on a minute. Let's just make sure I got this right, because I'm reading between some lines here that I might not be reading. Did the cop call a tow truck?
Yeah, you know what? And I just until right now, I hadn't thought about that. I bet he gets a kickback from the tow truck company.
Fucking A, the cop gets a kickback from the tow company. God, Strickland, that's the oldest trick in the book.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about it. You know, the other weird thing, God, I don't even know if we want to go here, but the guy in the tow truck, it was a Texas tow truck. And I'm like, he didn't even know the area. I'm like, you're a long way from home. He's like, we came up for help with the hurricane. I'm like, okay, whatever, right? Well, it was a Muslim guy. Right? Like he was,
you're going to get racist on me now.
I'm not
Strickland.
going to. Well, this is what's interesting, right? And, very well spoken, seemed like a nice guy, but, darker skin, like he was, again, Muslim is a religion. So I shouldn't say he was Muslim because there are lots of Americans or whoever that are Muslim, but he was Middle Eastern. Okay. So he was obviously of Middle Eastern descent.
Strickland, I don't like where you're going. I don't even like the idea of where you're going. Okay.
I didn't give a shit. I didn't think twice about it. Right. Whatever. He was a nice guy. It was all good. I mean, it was my fault. I hit him right. When the cop got there.
Yeah.
So it's the two of us. It's just me and the Muslim guy, right? And we're walking over to the cop, all casual, right? And he's got his hands in his pocket. And the cop looks at him and he does a visual like, pull your hands out of your pockets. And it was so weird because, again, look, cops deal with this all the time, and they have to err on the side of caution. But the first thing I thought to myself was,
why
if
is
that was a white guy, would he have done the same thing? Maybe he would have. Because, he's a cop, right? So you got to be on, your brain has to be going there all the time because you just never know what's going to happen.
So hold on. So far we've painted the police officer that arrived just to do nothing other than help you. We've pointed him out as probably a profiling on the take.
I know, right? And again, when he's talking to this guy. So of course, immediately when he does that little symbol, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck, right? Like, and then I realized, oh my God, I think maybe he's doing that just because it's a Middle Eastern guy, right?
Oh, that's hard.
And then again, I'm a little more aware now, but it felt like the way the cop was talking to me was definitely more casual and comfortable, and he was a little more defensive when he was talking to the guy. And I'm thinking, man, it just sucks that we're like, that this is the world we're in now, right? Now, again, he didn't say anything overtly.
And we've completely jumped to several conclusions. One, that the guy profiles. The second thing that we've done is we've said, okay, he's probably, who knows? He probably was just trying to help you. He knows a tow truck company. But, I've heard too many stories about crooked municipal workers that are on the take.
Right. And so we had called it in a good 45 minutes before then. And we're waiting on the cops. Now, I'm making calls the whole time, right? So I'm like in no rush. Like if I had found a van and got it done, I probably would have said to the guy, fuck this. Let's not wait for the cops. Can you just tow me and let's get going, right? But I wasn't in a rush because I'm still trying to get a van lined up, right?
Yeah.
So the cop gets there and the cop says, oh yeah, we got like 6 accidents up and down this highway. We're like today, right now that we're investigating. Apparently there's a lot of stop and go traffic, right?
There is a lot of, I made that trip earlier in the week, just coincidentally to do a speaking engagement. There was probably 3 or 4 accidents just along the way because there is so much stop and go traffic.
Right. And it's 2:00 on a Friday. We're not talking rush hour, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I said to the cop, I'm like, look, nobody's hurt, right? The only damage is to my car. I've already called my insurance company. We don't even have to write it up. I don't care. Let's just roll. And he was like, no. We got called out. Oh, and no airbag deployal or anything, right? Like you have to call it in if it's an airbag.
Yeah.
None of that. And he was fine. And I was like, fuck it. Let's just let it go. Right. And the cop was like, no, I'm here. Let me write it up. And of course it was another 45 minutes of him writing it up. And then I ended up getting a $50 ticket because I didn't give enough distance and all this other crap. But you're right. He probably was getting a fucking kickback from the tow company.
So how much does the tow company charge to take you to the dealership?
$135. And that's like basically anything within a 10-mile radius is a flat $135.
Don't you have AAA?
That was the other stupid thing. And of course I didn't think about it because I'm in the middle of all this shit with the cop there. The guy gets there with a tow truck and he's like, it's going to be $135. And I said to him, and I do have AAA. And I said, oh yeah, wait a minute, hang on. Are you AAA? And he's like, no. And then I'm thinking to myself, well,
Strick, come on. You were just taken, right. Dude, you were just taken.
You're so right. You're so right. I fucked up.
No, man. Yeah, no, we don't take AAA. What's that say on the side of your car? AAA. Well,
right. No, that's old. I don't do that anymore. Right.
Oh, that's the previous owner. You know what happened? He took $100. He gave the cop $35.
Yeah.
Everybody's
and
happy.
I was so stressed about still trying to find a van and a way to get the gear down there. I didn't even think about any of that. Oh my God. All this weird tangent. So ultimately what happens, I'm talking to the guy, back to the story, I'm talking to the guy at National or Budget. I'm talking to the call center from Budget Rent-A-Truck. And he's like, no, we got nothing. And I can't call. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I confirm the address. We drive down there and it's one of these rental places. Like they run a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And the Budget is like a little side business, which is cool, right? They've got 2 16-foot box trucks, right? Which literally my gear fit in 1/4 of this truck. It's way more truck than I need, but I didn't give a shit at that point. And I said to the guy, hey, look, can we rent the truck? And he's like, yeah, sure. And they didn't even close until 5. Right.
So hold on a second. So they weren't even aware. So why weren't they answering their fucking phones?
It was 2 redneckish guys, and I guess they were busy. They didn't feel like it. I don't know.
Because they closed in an hour, and it was a Friday, and they wanted to get to the bar.
It was clearly a kind of a mom and popish business, and maybe I understand they didn't answer the phone, whatever. And I could have left a message, but I was really thinking, look, I need something now, right? So it happened to be the first call I made. But yeah, so the guy was like, oh yeah, sure, and we rent a truck, and it's all good, and like. But I was God, could there possibly be worse customer service than the Budget rental truck? I mean, I called them back just because I thought maybe possibly. I mean, if the first guy I talked to at National Budget had said no trucks, I probably wouldn't have called back. I would have taken his word for it.
do they rent Budget and a bunch of other? Because it's what it sounds like is Budget National doesn't really have a good handle on the inventory that this smaller shop. I'm trying to figure out what's the relationship.
Right. That's exactly what I was trying to figure out. So I think the Budget business plan is they probably have some businesses that are standalone. All they do is rent Budget trucks, right? But they also have like basically I'm guessing it's like a side affiliate business with other rental places. So this was a place where you can go in and you can rent a power washer. You can rent whatever little bullshit, right? Like a rent-a-center, not a rent-a-center.
I got you.
And they had a couple of trucks. And so there's a little side thing that has all their notes. So I'm assuming that, the Budget is a side affiliate business. And this is probably one of the things they do. But the national people, they obviously had no handle whatsoever on what they had or how they could sell it. It's just horrible.
So nobody at National said we're going to work on this and we're going to call you back. So that wasn't even a possibility. So finally you got through. So you got the guy that had the pickup truck that was behind you. He is now with you now. Your truck is at the Chevy dealership, which was towed there for $135, of which you probably would you have to pay him cash?
Yeah, no. Fortunately, I gave him a credit card. If after everything else, if he had said cash, I totally would have told him to fuck himself, and I'd be like, you fucking taken me already. If you want this money, you better be able to run a credit card.
I don't even think you realized that you were taken until I just made.
You're right. I was so focused on finding a rental truck. No, you're right.
So the guys in the pickup truck behind you. You now have to go from, and all of this is taking place within a very small window of time. And in the meantime, you're about 40 minutes away from where your job was, right?
I'm still an hour away from my job. And so my other band guy, my guitar player in my band, he's got his pickup truck. He drives me over to the Budget rental truck place. We rent a truck. We go back to the Chevy dealership. We move all of the equipment from the van to the box truck. And now it is about 5:15 and we're right in the middle of rush hour.
And Strick is in his tuxedo. He's in his tuxedo, pushing all the equipment from one truck to the Tell me you don't wear a tuxedo. You don't still wear a tuxedo, do you?
Oh, yeah. Well, we wear a black suit, but in this case, it was a casual. Like, they wanted us in, like, jeans and because it was a real fun casual gig. But, yeah, I wear a black suit still when I do weddings and stuff. But, okay. Yeah, but that was it. So then we drive down there and we get there, like, I got there about 30 minutes before we were actually supposed to start performing. So
let's talk customer service for a second, though. So you run up and you talk to the guy, and he's giving you the, hey, it's cool. We'll do whatever you have to do. How are your bandmates treating you at this point? Are they pissed or are they ready to help you? Because that's
no, they're totally ready to help. So it's just me and the guitar player together. Everybody else is at the venue now, and I've basically told Jamie, one of my singers, hey, here's what's happened. Please let everybody know, and please make sure they're ready right at 6:30 when I arrive, so we can get the gear out quickly. So everybody's good. They're all supportive. They understand. It's all good.
And everybody came together and you rallied about it. And then how, because in the meantime, you're like in total like go mode this entire time. And then when you're finally ready and you're all set up and ready to play that first note, did you take a second and just take did you do that before you played your first note?
Yeah, and fortunately, and I was able to do that because of the nature of the gig. Like if it had been a wedding, it would have been an hour into the wedding before I did
right, exactly.
Absolutely. Oh,
and man.
It's crazy.
So what ended up happening so right now, so let me just play the picture back to you. How much was the van? How much did that cost you?
It was only for a 48-hour rental, 2 days, unlimited mileage. And by the way, picking up in Williamsburg, dropping off in Columbia, Maryland. Usually they charge like a premium usually. If you pick it up in one place and drop it off somewhere else, like $220. Really not bad.
Oh, that's great. That's I was thinking, here's what I was thinking. I was thinking that the way that you were going to end this entire story was that, and the van cost you $1,500.
Oh, no. And believe me, I would have had to pay. It would have had to do whatever I had to do. I mean, I'm thinking they're going to charge me for miles, right? And it's like 220 miles from where I am. And I was not driving it back to fucking Williamsburg, right?
Who has to take that van back to Williamsburg now? I mean, they come and pick it up?
Okay, so I'm guessing that their business model. Okay, so I played a wedding on Saturday. So I went right from Virginia Beach to our wedding on Saturday with the box truck, played that, and have the box truck in my driveway right now. I emptied the gear out of the box truck into my garage earlier, and as soon as we finish up the podcast, I will be dropping the box truck off in Columbia.
Right. Okay.
but I think that their business model, which is a really good one, actually, like a lot of the rental car companies, where they just have
it's the only thing
trucks.
that's good that they do right now. It sounds like
Right. The only thing they get, and this is their problem anyway, not my problem, right? So I'm going to drop this truck off in Columbia, Maryland, right? Well, the tags say Oklahoma. I'm guessing they just have this inventory of trucks and they don't care which truck is where, right?
Yeah, I guess they reroute.
Right.
And they reroute them, right?
And usually, like, if people do this because they're moving, they're not going to call the day of and say, I need something right now, right? They're going to call a couple days ahead of time or a week ahead of time and reserve one. So if this 16-foot box truck is needed back in Williamsburg and somebody reserves it for next week, I'm sure they have some system where it makes it worth it to drive it from Columbia down to Williamsburg or whatever. And they all just kind of pass them along among all the rental places, I'm sure. Since it's a national company, they let me drop it off at a different budget.
So, Strick, that this entire story just reminds me of this one thing that I recently heard, and that is few players recall big pots they have won. Strange as it seems, but every player can remember with remarkable accuracy the outstanding tough beats in his career.
Oh my gosh, Doug is quoting Rounders. Put this on the calendar. Doug is not only doing a movie quote, it's a movie quote from Rounders. That's what I'm talking about.
I was trying as hard as I could the entire time to work that quote into it. What is so amazing about that quote when it comes to this particular instance is how many amazing events have you had through your entire career? How many band gigs have you done in your lifetime, would you say?
Just with this band, about 1,500. And I've done at least 200 or 300 others before that.
Okay, so probably somewhere between 1,700 and 2,000. And how many bad circumstances have happened to you over those, 20 some years of you doing band gigs?
Plenty. There have been plenty.
But so many more amazing things. You probably can't remember most of the amazing weddings and events that you've done in your life. But when shitty circumstances happen, those are the times that you really remember with remarkable accuracy.
There are times where we'll go to a location and somebody in my band will be like, "Oh yeah, remember when we played this wedding and did this and this and this here?" And I'm like, "No." And it's so true. People in my band, they'll remind me of like, "Oh yeah, this was so cool, and we did this and this and this." And it's like, I do not remember any of it, but this one, oh yeah, I will never forget this one.
You'll never forget it. And we have managed, Strickland Bonner, to do it again. We've made it the entire length of the episode. We had 2 subjects to cover in the last 2 days. Yeah. We have not gotten to either one.
See, this is why I didn't want to get off, like on yesterday's episode, I didn't want to start on this tangent of the accident because I knew it would be long. I didn't realize it would be the whole goddamn 30-minute episode, but I knew it might take a while.
I knew it was going to be a great story, and I was so looking forward to hearing it and to playing into many of the roles and finally getting that Rounders quote off that I really needed to get.
You need to send me that quote, email it to me, because I'm going to have Steve O'Brien read it and record it before this. It'll be the intro to this episode.
All right, I am now putting it into the show notes. Today is the Wednesday show, correct?
Yes, 2:35. Yes.
All right, we never actually got to what we were going to. I see you
editing right now. In Confessions of a Winning Poker Player, Jack King said, "Oh yeah, this is beautiful. I love it."
Strick, great episode, man. This was actually one of my more favorite episodes because it was a story that you told about your life. And I didn't have to open my mouth about anything that happened in my life.
I did do a lot of yapping, didn't I?
All right. Well, nice guy community. Never underestimate the power of fucked up because
we might get to one of the 3 topics tomorrow that Doug sent out.
No, I think if you tune in tomorrow, this was the Tuesday show that we had a Tuesday show and a Wednesday show. We had 2 topics on those 2 shows to get to, both Tuesday and Wednesday. We did not get to them on Thursday show, tomorrow's show. When you listen tomorrow, you will understand that we actually will probably still not ever get to an episode. I mean, a subject as well. So you can skip tomorrow's episode and just go right to Friday's, but you're going to miss all the shenanigans. There's the word again. The shenanigans that we're gonna have to try to figure out. I wanted to talk about my dad's book. He wrote a good book. I mean, my dad's been off of this earth. He's been dead since 1995. And he wrote a book that was actually released in, I think it was released in 95 or 96. And it was re-released just when my book came out just a couple of years ago, and we were playing competitive back and forth on the bestsellers list for about 3 or 4 months. So it was very enjoyable to watch my dad posthumously come back with the re-release of his book. It was very interesting. But we might talk about that on tomorrow's episode. Probably not.
Maybe we might get to it. I don't know. We'll see.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Why don't you give the Steve O'Brien? You spend so much time doing that. I think you deserve the final line, Strick.
Steve O'Brien, take us out of here.
Nice Guy community, what do you think of the Nice Guys podcast? Is it A, interesting, informative, intelligent business information that's really helpful? B, a couple of guys who think they're funny, but actually have an inflated perception of their own self-worth? C, same shit, different podcast? Or D, all of the above?